Karun, you've just been out here at Silverstone in the Radical SR8. How was that for you?
It was great fun. It's a fun little car. It's nice just to come to the day and see what it's all about. I think what they've done with Motorsport Days is really interesting because you're at a time of the year now in November where people are looking to do different things for next year. And I think it's nice that different car manufacturers are all here to give people a little taste. And I had a few laps just to see what it was like. And I think as especially if you're a club racer or a gentleman racer, it is a good day out because you get to drive 5 or 6 different things, and it's been a bit of fun.
Well, it's a vital thing, isn't it, being able to test the machinery before that you can decide what you're doing for the next season. Would that have been something that had been useful to you many years ago?
Well, I think so. I mean, you're not going to buy a shirt without trying it on in the fitting room, and in some ways, I think that's a slight problem we've always had in motorsport is because of costs involved with going testing and stuff. And teams are reluctant to sell you a test day for half an hour, which is sometimes all the driver wants to see whether they like it or not. But on a day like this, they can come, have 15 minutes, have a go, and decide whether they like it or not, or try a few different things. And I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty unique as well, actually. I can't think off the top of my head if there's any other places where you could do that.
Well, it's always key that being to get people on the racetrack and before the season starts. Recently, you actually went out in our Radical SR1, which is our rookie car. How does that compare to the flagship car at the top of the ladder, offering that progressive step up through the ranks?
Well, it's like anything in motorsport. I think the concept of driving bigger and more powerful cars seems to be the trend these days. People seem to want more power, and which is why I think GT racing's taken off. But actually, these cars, which I don't know if I can call them track day cars, but they're certainly track bespoke cars. I think they give gentleman drivers and amateur drivers and people who've inexperienced drivers a chance to experience downforce. And the cars have got a lot of grip. It's a bit damp today, so we're still on wets, but even then in the fast corners you could feel the downforce starting to work. And I think people will get a real insight into what it's like to drive a Le Mans car, for example. And it really is. They're quite simple to drive. They're small. They're relatively low power compared to the amount of grip. I'm probably a bad person to ask because I've obviously driven bigger, more powerful cars. But to me, that feels like quite an easy car to drive, which is exactly what you want for an experienced driver.
Well, of course, you've driven such a vast array of machinery from Formula 1 and all the way through the sports car ranks. Yeah. So obviously this is a little bit different to what you drive, but perhaps a good progressive step towards achieving that prototype goal.
Certainly. I think if you're a fan of sports car racing and a fan of Le Mans, and you've watched it on telly and thought, I quite fancy to go one of those, these cars are not far off an LMP3 car, which is obviously the first thing I guess you can drive at Le Mans. And also I like the fact that they've genuinely got a second seat.
Yes.
You could stick a passenger in it and have take the kids around or whatever and have a day out. And I think that's if you were a car club, I think in a circuit in Asia or whatever, and you're looking for something to have as a fun, fast passenger car, you've got lots of options these days, and things like this are quite good for that.
Well, that's it. It's about variety, isn't it? Having that track day car, but also having the racing opportunity with the SR8, for example, to race it just some of the circuits that you are familiar with. And what about your season ahead? Have you got some quiet time now before we kick off again for 2019?
Yeah, I've had a crazy year, to be honest. Lots of stuff with Williams. We've really managed to get the heritage business up and running, and we've had some great cars up and running. I've been obviously doing the TV stuff for F1, which has gone to all the Grand Prix, and lots of other little projects. Managing young drivers. I work with a circuit design company, design tracks. Do a lot of stuff with the FIA now. Yeah, finger in lots of pies, and it's all been good fun. And with fifth gear as well, the season's over, so a little bit of downtime now before we film the next season of that. But that's been fun. So yeah, lots to keep me busy.
Well, Karun, thank you so much for your time here today. We know you're busy. Really appreciate you taking time to take out in the car.
Thank you very much.